Proverbs, when you read through Proverbs, they're not always in order. There's not always a good context. Sometimes they're really random. In Proverbs, you have contrasts that compare the wise and the foolish, the righteous and the wicked. And maybe you can ask yourself, which path am I on? It's interesting with Proverbs because you can't just memorize some Proverbs and then gain all the wisdom in it. A lot of times you have to pray about it and ponder it and say, okay, what did that mean to those people in the time that it was written? Why did Solomon, who wrote many of the Proverbs, want to pass that on to his son? Which ones were for sons and which ones were for sons and daughters? Because many of the Proverbs are for girls and boys, men and women, and trying to discern that and figure out, what does that mean? So you read the proverb and you think about it and you ponder it, and that can be a good thing. There's comparisons that show what is truly better in life. There's pictures that use memorable word pictures and illustrations. There's some riddles. Principles describe how life normally works under God's rule. And so when you read a proverb, it's not a 100% guarantee. It is more of the way things work in God's world. There's instructions that give direct commands and fatherly counsel, especially in chapters 1 through 9. And there's number sayings like 3 things, even 4, to emphasize important truths. So as you ponder those, as you think about those carefully, try to figure out the historical content. Sometimes the study Bibles are helpful at that, trying to figure out, like I mentioned before, who wrote it and what it meant, and why it's in there the way that it is. Compare Proverbs to other Proverbs. Scripture interprets Scripture, and different Proverbs often balance and complement one another. And remember that the key theme in Proverbs is Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So when you put God first and you want to know his ways, there's a bunch of Proverbs that when you get them into your life, into your mind, can guide you and direct you and help you to end up at the right destination as you travel life's paths. So again, about Proverbs, we have to remember that not only is it poetry, but it's Hebrew poetry, which means it's not like our poetry, and it doesn't always rhyme, and sometimes it's real cryptic, and sometimes it's hard to figure out how it even makes sense. But as you ponder it, as you think about it, as you read other Proverbs, you start to get a sense of, oh, I think I know what that means to me. And so there's not a lot of the Bible that you can sit there and look at the context and think about in the scripture and say, I wonder what that means to me. Like in Romans, it means what it means. It's not what it means to you. It means what it means when it talks about sin and salvation and righteousness and sanctification and all that. But Proverbs, guidelines for living, can be applied in many ways to our lives. And so God has given us this wonderful book, and if we are to read through it, it can make a difference in our life. I know many people who claim that part of their leadership success is because they read through a proverb a day. So since it's ancient Hebrew poetry, they're not formulas that guarantee identical results in every situation. They're God-given principles describing how he has designed life to work. They teach us how the wise normally live in God's world. That means our goal is not simply to memorize individual proverbs, but to understand the wisdom behind them and apply that wisdom faithfully to our lives today.